I want to see this video. Fucking freaking Game Ranks made a video saying, what the hell is going on with Monster Hunter Wilds? I'm like, it was 5 days ago they posted or so. What am I, you know, I haven't really been watching this channel as much, so it's a very interesting to see. We did make a video or so about Monster Hunter Wild in general. Like, I think it's an okay game, right? It's not really like super great for me personally as someone who uses a heavy bow gun. They've completely like lost the sauce or so. Apparently a lot of the classes that also apparently for some people actually don't like what they did for certain changes. The funny thing about it, chat, at least for my Twitch audiences, right? For my YouTube side of audiences, because I read the comment section, they actually, some of them disagree with you guys, chat. Literally, they disagree with you guys in your guys' statement when it comes to like some of the changes of Monster Hunter Wild. Now, what does that say? I can't really say in my personal opinion. That's your own opinion at the end of the day. Like I said, everyone has their own opinion. But apparently the YouTube side of the audiences, they disagree with you guys, chat. They definitely disagree with you guys when it comes to your guys' opinions about the classes. So let's take a look and see what this video is about. I'd be curious to see if it's about the optimization or if it's like other things in general. Now, be nice, be nice. You must respect everyone's opinions at the end of the day. Granted, right? A lot of the people who comment or so are not subscribed, which they should, you know. Speaking about subscription as well, for those who don't know, I do have memberships on my channel, which is only $1 or so, and it definitely will not be raised whatsoever, not like Xbox raising their game prices and everything. But I will be honest with you, I do want to give a shout out to my membership in general, because I do have some new memberships that came by, which I want to give a shout out to Hollow. Let me see, Hollow Heart. Well, it has Hollow Broken Heart anyways. Hollow Broken Heart, you know, we got Sean Ryan, Laser, Voltkin, Saw, Ghost 47, Uber, Utref, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Frenzied Hunter, Rusian, and Amir. So I want to give a shout out to them who are part of the memberships. Like I said, it is $1. So if you want to come and support me, you can. And also on top of that, we do have emotes for those and badges. Well, badges question mark, or little thingers so that you get on the side. But yeah, thanks, Code. Now we know who are the ops now. Fuck those frogs, fuck them by raising your membership I am not raising my membership prices, okay, alright? I am not like Xbox, okay, alright? Very, very right. We can respect others' opinions better than a certain aisle. That's true, that's true. We can definitely respect. We all respect everyone's opinion here at the end of the day. We can agree to disagree, and we move on, and that's it. But anyways, let's take a look at the video to see what's going on. I'd be curious to see what Game Ranks has to talk about. I'd be curious if it's the optimization or if they're going to talk about other things in general. Suna, thank you for the subscribble. Welcome or so. Well, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. Oh yeah, speaking of which, actually, I keep always forgetting to turn this on every single time because the problem is I don't turn this on because it breaks on me every single time. I don't know, because they haven't fixed for those who don't know, I do have subtitles that I usually put, but unfortunately, sometimes it breaks, and that's why I don't put it on. That's just the only reason why. But yeah, anyways, let's take a look and see what the video is all about.
Things aren't so great right now in the land of Capcom. Monster Hunter Wilds'
Who's we?
Title update just dropped, and while
Your
it
mom.
added a new hunt collaboration with Final Fantasy XIV, along with a lot of balance changes and fixes, they still haven't managed to implement the one thing PC gamers actually want, and that is substantial improvements to the game's PC performance. Steam reviews for the game are not good, to put it mildly. On the day the update launched, over 1,500 negative Steam reviews got posted, and to be fair, it's not absurd to want patches to address the main problem with the game.
Yeah.
Like, the impressions of this patch have been met very negatively overall with the PC community.
Oh,
They're
has
fed up,
it?
They're desperate for news about incoming fixes.
Let me see. I'm falling out of love of Monster Hunter Wilds Capcom. One new monster every few months and a ton of new cosmetic crap to buy with real
Fools.
money. Fixing poor optimization, connection issues, and garbage matchmaking. Welcome back, Pillow. Welcome back. Hold on, give me a
At this
second.
point, it's not more content, it's fixes that people want. For Capcom's part, they have promised that technical issues will be addressed in the Title Update 4 launching in December, but so far the company's attempts at fixing the issues have not gone well. Some people are even saying the game is running worse after the Update 3, rather.
Really? The game is actually running a lot worse now? I'd be so curious to see people who are still playing Monster Hunter Wilds in my comment sections. Is it still actually running a lot worse now after Title Update 3? I'm so curious if you can let me know about that.
Than better. And I can't 100% confirm that. I turned the game on, and on my hardware, I have to say it kind of looks like it's running a little better. Not a lot, but it's not as if I can't believe it. The game's PC port has not been good. So what's the deal here? Why did this stuff not get addressed sooner? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game...
Well, the reason why it didn't get addressed is because they had to meet a quota for, you know, for the revenue, the quarter final revenue or so for it, because they had to sell it on PC even though it's not ready yet. That we already found out what the reason for this PC port was a complete failure, you know. Well, I wouldn't say failure, but a complete flop or so on the optimization issues, plus a lot of things that were not really well balanced within the game itself. So there's a lot of things besides the PC optimization. The PC condition I keep hearing about are why I still have and play Monster Hunter World don't have the scratch to get a game that will run like Mixscoot on my system. Yeah, don't get me wrong. You know, I played the entire game itself. I'll be honest with you, it's probably one of the most easiest Monster Hunter games I've ever played in my entire life. I'll be honest with you, because there was not really much of a challenge to begin with. I don't hate the game. I criticize the game because I love the game because I know for a fact it can do better. For a game that's supposed to be the anniversary for Monster Hunter, it does not feel like an anniversary game. It really does not.
Ranks, we ask the question, what the hell is going on with Monster Hunter Wilds? So there's a lot of anger and negativity surrounding Monster Hunter Wilds right now, especially in the more insular fan community where honestly people are working themselves up into a toxic frenzy. But the general issues that people are having are the same ones they had day one at launch. That's the biggest problem.
That's
really.
crazy.
It's 8 months later, and this game still runs like garbage on a lot of PCs. And before I go any further, let me just quickly ask you to subscribe to our channel. Surprisingly, few of the people that are watching are subscribed, so this is just a quick ask. It helps us out. We hope it helps you see some stuff you want. Thank you so much for clicking subscribe. Let's get back to it. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds is hardly the only modern game to have a bad PC port. It's a serious issue that way too many games still struggle with, but the difference is this game is supposed to have a long tail. It's still getting DLC, it's got season events, limited time stuff, and also, hey, it's a frickin' Capcom game. You want to talk about PC ports that are good? Generally, Capcom is known for that. But on this one port that just dropped the ball 100%, updates are pretty plentiful. In fact, the speed of the updates have increased lately, and the updates don't address
I wonder why.
the one problem that people want addressed.
Is optimization.
The game's a little controversial in terms of its streamlining, and there's some people that like that and some people that don't.
Yeah, the problem is having two. I think it leads like this is the same thing, right? It leaned way too much on things being streamlined instead of finding the right balance between the two, you know? Like, I understand they're trying to cater to a more bigger audience, right? They want to streamline the game for those specific audience to come in and play the game. But at the end of the day, if you're there's always a saying, if you're trying to make a game for everybody, you're literally not going to make a game for nobody. So if you try to cater to everybody, you're not really going to cater to anybody at all. So I feel like it definitely lost some identity of the game itself for certain aspects of the games. I think they should pull back certain things, but keep other things in it, you know? I don't mind the potion drinking or so while moving. That's fine. That's not a big deal. I think it's fine. And if you hate it, you think it's not part of the Monster Hunter, look, man, I think it's fine. It's not a big deal at the end of it. It's not gonna kill your dreams. And if you want that version of the Monster Hunter game, there are those specific ones as well. Because remember, we have the handheld version of the Monster Hunter that does that kind of specific aspect, which is the generation, what is it, generation ultimate or whatever it's called.
Regardless of your opinion on it, the overwhelming issue people have with Wilds on PC is performance. It's like a very secondary.
I would have played with you,
to
to be honest, Pillow.
Compared to how bad this damn thing is running. It was bad at
what
launch,
makes the Monster
and
Hunter
it is
game a
bad
Monster
now.
Hunter game?
It relies far too heavily on DLSS and frame generation to make up for its own engine
True,
shortcomings.
yeah.
The game's director, Yuya Tokuda, wanted to make the most graphically...
I disagree. They didn't cater to everybody. They mainly catered to new people. Most people that love this game are new people. You got a few vets that like the game, and no doubt, of course. Now, you just said it right there. A few veterans liked it, but not all of the veterans liked it. This catered to a new, broader audiences from people that Asmongold promoted the game because he had a large fan base, that people who did not hear about the game itself, to people he exposed it to, and it got super popular again for Monster Hunter World. So that's a more broader audience. That's literally a way more broader. You even had the Hololive girls playing Monster Hunter Wilds for this game in general. So that just says the meaning that it did cater to a broader audiences. And if they try to cater that specific audience in general, right? They cater like a big wide audience, but the problem is they didn't really cater to anybody in general, because now we're having optimization issues. People are saying it's super easy. Some people hate their class changes. Some other people don't. Now you have a very divisive kind of situation. But Asmongold is a Monster Hunter veteran and he liked it. He's not a veteran, okay? Yeah, the target audience are new people and left the OGs. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying in general. Like, they literally targeted, like, they started catering to everybody to get that new, for the new audience to come in and play the game, which is fine, right? I don't mind new people coming into the Monster Hunter sphere to trying out the game itself. I think it's great. I have no problem with it. But the problem is they leaned way too hard on streamlining the game itself. So that means they made all the mechanics really easy. They made a lot of things really dumbed down. But unfortunately, they didn't cater to the core fan base of their audiences to begin with. So hell no. Hell no lie. I got Monster Hunter Wilds like 4 or 5 years ago on sale. Oh, Monster Hunter World, and didn't start playing until like March this year, around when Wilds released. Well, there's a lot of people who, number one, didn't hear about Monster Hunter World. They saw Asmongold play Monster Hunter World, and he has a really huge following at the end of the day, by the amount of views that he gets from his videos, plus also the amount of times he streamed the game in general, right? He still hasn't beaten Fatalis. Let me remind you that, all right? And wait, he can't call himself a veteran because he did not beat Fatalis. Let me remind you this, chat. He has not beaten Fatalis. I'm just remembering that right now, actually. So I'm going to revoke his veteran card because he has not beaten Fatalis, all right? Well, yeah. Overall, it just definitely just says that, like, they try to cater to those specific audiences, and then, well, Lord and behold, well, unfortunately, the core audiences just didn't like it, and that's pretty much it. Damn, even Pillow is pulling scrap now. Told you the Clutch Claw is is what makes Monster Hunter a Monster Hunter. Okay, now you're just stretching it too far.
Monster Hunter game possible, and by itself that's not a bad idea, but the decision to use their own internal RE engine to do it seems to have bit them in the ass a bit. The engine's great for Resident Evil games, which are mostly set in small enclosed locations, but Monster Hunter Wilds is a much bigger game, and the engine struggles with stuff that a lot of open world games have figured out.
Who's Sank? I don't know who Sank is.
Using Unreal Engine. unless they're Bethesda, which will still run their crazy shit underneath the Unreal Engine, but whatever. Point is, Wilds is really GPU intensive, and the actual visuals that it pushes are not particularly
They're not really that
impressive.
great, though.
The game is
The
very
visuals.
blurry, very soft looking because of the heavy reliance on DLSS. It looks pretty washed out and kind of ugly a lot of the time because of the realistic look they wanted to go for.
I literally had to, yeah, this art style, I wasn't really a huge fan for this game in general, right? For this one, because it just feels a little bit dull in general. But the funny thing about it, I had to use a mod or so to increase the saturation and make it feel more robust and more colorful and just looks a lot more better, which it does. Like the mods that I used specifically for this game on day one, well, I played it day one without any mods, right? I did not like the look of this game. It looked completely different compared to the trailer. And then when I decided to bring in the mod or so to help the visualization and the color depth to boost up a little bit of saturation and you know, change some few things here and there, it looked a lot better, and it looked like basically almost close to the trailer, and it just looked a lot more funner to look at, you know?
Work with this one. And just to say this, it's a really interesting phenomenon considering the amount of color that has been added to the palette in Monster Hunter Wilds.
It's a lot of the
Pushing
poo-poo
graphics
brown,
technology
poo-poo brown,
worked
poo-poo
in
green,
Monster
you know?
Hunter World, and if you remember, that game had pretty bad performance on PC at first, but that stuff did get fixed up.
But it's not the same exactly as Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds, you know, optimization is a lot worse compared to World's optimization.
Not over this amount of time either. It's taken Wilds a lot longer to get to this point. The game's Steam reviews were never great. It's always been sitting at mixed ever since the game launched back in February, but the recent reviews have been rancid. They're now mostly negative, and they're not letting up. See, the thing is, if the thing that people are complaining about sits and festers rather than gets fixed, it appears worse and worse as time passes. That pisses people the hell off, and people have every right to be pissed off over that. It's ridiculous. Considering that the PC is not just a niche market anymore, it's actually an extremely large part of the gaming market. I mean, there's no excuse. Now, to be fair, with all the sound and fury about performance, you might be led to believe that this is a total mess that's like completely unplayable, like Arkham Knight PC.
For some reason, a lot of these days been lacking a lot of in the games. Yeah, a lot of for the PC in general. I'm like, you really don't want to mess up with PC optimization. Master rank might break the game. Don't say that, dude. Don't say that. Ooh, that would be pretty crazy if that actually breaks the game, though. Don't jinx it, man. Don't jinx it. Knock on wood right now.
But that's not exactly the case. Wilds is more figuratively broken than actually broken. It's not unplayable.
Yeah, of course.
You can play this game, and it works. It's like...
To a degree. To some degree. Some things will actually... My friend, literally, who played it or so, literally had a Dorito-shaped Gore Magala looking character. Like, it literally looked like from the PS2 era of graphics.
Dodge Neon, which, if you were in high school, when I was in high school, everyone had a Dodge Neon, and nobody liked them. It's not that they didn't work, they worked fine, they just sucked. The game has a lot of options to tweak graphical settings, but the scaling, it's pretty bad. It's one of those games that either runs fine, even decently,
Thank you for the follow, welcome.
capable graphics card, or it doesn't run fine or decently. It runs. Trying to play this game on minimum specs, it's a waste of time. It doesn't run well. It's not good, especially for a game that Capcom expected to exceed the sales of Monster Hunter World. They had sky-high hopes for this one, but in terms of sales, it's fallen way below expectations. It did sell really well at first, 10 million copies in the first month.
Of course it did.
8 million of those happening in the first 3 days. The next few months didn't go so hot, though, and frankly, that's a strong argument that the fact it doesn't play well is a big problem. Word of mouth on that
yeah,
kind
we
of
pretty
thing
much have a chill vibe
travels
here at the end of the
fast.
day.
Sales between April and June were just 477,000, which you want to talk
That's pretty
about
bad.
a drop-off? That's
pretty bad.
Now, I hear some people say things like, oh, that's just people voting with their wallets, and I would disagree. Voting with your wallet isn't about problems. Like, people not going to a restaurant that numerous cases of salmonella have come out of is not...
No, I'll be honest with you. People were voting with their wallets because I assume these people who played the game probably asked them if the game was actually good and whatnot. And a lot of people would say, no, it's not that good. it's better to get Monster Hunter World instead because the optimization is bad, the content is pretty bare bones, and for a game that's supposed to be the quote-unquote anniversary for the Monster Hunter franchise, it really is kind of lacking for a Monster Hunter anniversary type of thing. You know, let's not forget about that this is supposed to be the I forgot what year this is supposed to be for the anniversary for Monster Hunter. It kind of really, you know, it didn't really set, you know, it didn't really set any expectations really high. I like women in Monster Hunter. Never touched any Monster Hunter, so I'm lost. Don't worry about it. Wilds is just a game that's just not well optimized.
People voting with their wallet. In fact, people really need to start getting past this idea of voting with your wallet, because all that does is incentivize companies to find less picky audiences, which that means they make shittier games that are for people who are entirely naive to all of the shit we see them do.
Yeah, but the problem is if they make games or so for these naive people or so, they're definitely not even going to continue playing it either, you know, if the game is actually broken. If the game is broken, you know, do you think the naive people are going to continue playing the game? No, because these are the people who are not very well versed in the video game industry, right? Or the video game like news and stuff, right? Where they literally say that like, oh, Monster Hunter Wilds is very poorly optimized, but then you have some guy named Joe or so who has a 9-to-5 job, right? Probably has like 2 kids and a wife or so who has to take care of, comes online, doesn't really take a look at video game news and stuff like that, sees that Monster Hunter that he saw that franchise that he used to play like 20 years ago, right? Decides to buy this game, but doesn't run very well or so. Well, they're gonna start, you know, after a while or so, they're gonna start hating it, you know? And it's just kind of like, what do you expect, you know? I think they will sell 3 million copies on the next game. And that is a total because the reputation of the word of the mouth. Yeah, of course, you know, the people who literally know, breathe, eat, shit, and sleep Monster Hunter in general will spread the mouth of word or so what makes this game bad and what makes this game good. What are the good? What are the bads? What can they improve on and everything, you know? Besides, I'm more focused on the female Digimon. They knew what they were doing. Oh yeah, the female Digimon, yeah. That game can be fixed with a 49. What the fuck? How does Wilds DLC all together cost 400 plus already? We don't even have the Master Rank expansion. Is it already $400 already for Monster Hunter the DLC? Oof. That sure says a lot of things in my personal opinion.
Past that whole idea, it doesn't work. There's a reason
I disagree with this personally.
Capcom PC ports in recent years, who again, I will repeat this, has done fantastic with PC ports. The Resident Evil 4 remake PC port, I don't even think I have to say anything about. It was really, really good.
Yeah, but the remake for Resident Evil 4, the groundwork was already laid there for it. All you had to do was give it a facelift, and that's all you really needed to do. Compared to Monster Hunter Wild, which is a brand new title, which a brand new scene, brand new place, a brand new locale, brand new area, brand new assets, brand new this and brand new that, you know, with certain returning monsters coming back, you know? So it's completely different compared to the boneworks of something that's being remade, you know, a remake.
Today, Capcom posted their quarterly financial reports that revealed Wild's flagging sales. Their stock dropped pretty severely.
Of course.
Day. People love presenting.
No, their engine didn't work for open worlds. Dragon's Dogma is the proof. It could be that as well, that maybe that their engine specifically for that for, you know, what is it, the RE engine or so, it's just maybe catering more to like horror games. Maybe it's not really a good for an open world type of game. You know, like you just said before, Dragon's Dogma is like a shit game. Like, it's, well, I wouldn't say shit, but like very shit optimized. And I assume that's what they did. That's what they used for this one too as well. So I think they used Unreal 4 engine or so for Monster Hunter World, I think, the last time we took a look at it. And that's pretty much about it. Take care, Red Spear. And it was a lot more well optimized because, you know, well, people knew how to use it at the end of the day.
Ops as evidence that a company is failing or crashing out, as they say nowadays. Well, the company's on its last legs. I mean, taken together, the general PC fan base's negativity around this game looks bad. Their stock dropping looks bad, so the sky must be falling, right? Thing is, that's not how stuff works. A stock drop
Take care,
isn't
Winter.
really what the company is depending on to exist. First off, if you're familiar with stonks at all, a sudden volatile drop like that is nothing but an opportunity. In some cases, you're going to have a bunch of options calls, futures sold short, and if you're a regular plain old I buy stock low and sell it high person, well, there's no better time to get in on Capcom. Their stock is leveled off.
They would probably, what they would have to do for the RE engine, let's say for example it wasn't, let's say for example it didn't handle open world, right? It only handles like zones instead, right? What they could have done is they could have upgraded the engine for it to be able to handle open world, as in like tweak the coding and tweak certain settings with the engine itself to make it work, because that's what they did with Call of Duty. Because if I remember correctly, right, I could be wrong with this one, I could be wrong, you can quote me if I'm wrong, the old engine of Call of Duty is technically the new engine that they're using now, is the same one, but all they did was basically upgraded it to be what it is now. But unfortunately, all the new Call of Duties are basically all the fucking same, and they feel the same, and there's not really much of a difference from one another. So it could probably be the thing where maybe the engine can't handle it, maybe they need to upgrade it, or maybe it can handle it. Maybe they didn't have enough time to optimize it. There's a lot of things that are literally up in the air at the moment. It could be either or, in any direction it'll go to, you know, for the RE engine. I don't know what the RE engine is based off of, like what the main core component is for the RE engine, or either they made it in-house and that's their own specific engine, you know? Because you had, the reason why I say that is because the best example, Genshin is a modified Unity engine, and I think there was one other studio that had a modified version of the Unreal engine, but I just don't remember which one it is though. Yeah, about to say stock dropping isn't a death, Neil. It's a death, Neil, if it drops to and stays down. That is true. Ubisoft is a good example for that one anyways. But I don't really know too much about stocks. Asmongold would probably insert his own opinion here about it specifically. I'm just not really well versed in stocks, so don't ask me about stocks, because I'm not really invested in that personally.
Back up at pre-July levels. I mean, they're not the highest they've ever been, but they're trending up. But the fact is, the stock price doesn't even frickin' matter. They've been cash solvent, they're very profitable, and their profits keep going up. Just not buying a game doesn't do things. And something I really need people to get is that when I say stuff like this isn't to make the company look good or
not buying a game doesn't work.
Defend them. It is the result of having seen things repeatedly, cyclically, and they keep going down the same damn way. I would personally like it if we could figure out some way that the consumer matters again. Now, PR is a much bigger thing than sales in terms of what you can do, and that is why being loud is at least helpful. You just not making a choice to buy something doesn't do a lot. But if
no, it definitely does something, to be honest, because where it hits them more is their wallet. So if a lot of people you want to know the reason why? Duskborn, a lot of people didn't buy it. Look what happened to them. The studio for Concord, nobody bought it. The studio shut down because of it. So it really does actually affect their bottom line, their wallets, if people are not buying their game because they fucked up somewhere, you know? That's the reason why. PR can also affect investors' interest in investing. That is true, because they'll probably be taking a risk or so and probably losing money in general and be like, why would I want to invest on this if we lost money the last time?
Market sentiment shifts hard negative, that can have an effect. The fact is, it's on them to generate demand, and you can spend a lot of money marketing, but word of mouth is always more important. You can't throw a rose into a fart cloud and expect everything to change. And that brings us to a question. Is it possible for Capcom to turn the game around and make it as much of a success as World was? I
personally don't think they can capture the same lightning in the bottle with with Monster Hunter World. There's no way they can. The thing is, Capcom is not just about it's not just about Monster Hunter. One title flop didn't mean everything flopped. Yeah, of course they have like other titles underneath their belt. At the end of the day, they have, you know, Resident Evil Requiem that's gonna be coming out next year. They got Onimusha as well, also coming out. They got Pragmata also coming out on top of that. Whoa, what else? What else? I'm trying to think of other Capcom games off the top of my head. Yeah, you know. I disagree about being loud. What's the point if you're being loud but still buying the game and DLC? I bought the game, I played it, I played the entire thing. I just didn't have a good time with it because there were just some mechanics that I personally disagree with, and some certain decision makings for the game itself that I personally disagree. I think for me, as a heavy bowgunner class, right? Monster Hunter World hits the right balance for a heavy bowgun. For me personally, for the customization, certain attacks that you're allowed to block, and then certain attacks you cannot block. It's perfectly like it's personally the right balance for catering to that new audience, the broader audience, you know, but still keeping some of the core element of that Monster Hunter being Monster Hunter, you know. While Wilds is completely the opposite, and it kind of loses its identity in certain areas that I personally disagree, right? Other people can disagree what I have to say about it, but personally, you know, as someone who uses heavy bowgun, it just feels like, oh, it just feels pathetic or so to use the heavy bowgun in the game itself, you know. So in Wilds, you know.
And it sucks to say this, but probably not. Like, I don't really see it happening.
Of course, no.
From my standpoint,
they're not.
The game does actually seem to be in a better state right now than it has been up until now. Capcom has increased the speed of the updates and improvements they've made to the end game. But I mean, even console players who don't have the technical issues that we have were ready to give up on the game. But at least in that space, there's been a renewed interest and some positivity from players. And let's be clear here, it's not like Monster Hunter Wilds is a dead game or anything. It's the 14th most played game on Steam right now, according to SteamDB. It's got a sizable player base, and to be clear, that's what you need. It's just that those players rightfully are not happy with Capcom's current priorities.
Even with the about the one game, while another succeeds, it has somewhat. If let's say all the upcoming Capcom games come out broken, what's the point of being loud if you still buy them? Capcom will not change. Yeah, that is very true at the end of the day, you know.
What PC players want is substantial improvements to the game's performance, and unless that happens, then the general negativity around the game is not going anywhere. Like, it really doesn't matter.
I don't think they're gonna flop, but hypothetically, if they did or so, you know. What, like, if you keep buying yourself, you know, are they gonna change anything? Probably not, because people are just gonna they're gonna buy the slop. Take a look at Nintendo's games, for example. Nintendo's games and their sloppy Pokemon games that they've been releasing recently, at least. You know, people still buy them. They're not gonna change anything because people keep buying them. You want change or so? Well, then stop buying them in general. You know, you gotta be vocal on your decision makings. You know, looking at those, you know, YouTubers who keep saying that they hate this about Nintendo, they hate that about Nintendo, but they still buy the product, so it just doesn't even matter at the end of the day. Remember the people who were boycotting the Switch 2? That was successful, wasn't it, huh?
Or what they do to the gameplay. The gameplay is not really the problem. It's controversial, but it's not really the problem. I'm sure there will be some that disagree with that, but I'm sorry, a game that not everybody likes but works, and the people that like it continually play it without complaint, is going to remain more successful than a game that's not that.
Hold on, can I hear that real quick? Can I hear that statement real fast?
The problem. I'm sure there will be some that disagree with that, but I'm sorry, a game that not everybody likes but works, and the people that like it continually play it without complaint, is going to remain more successful than a game that's not that.
So if I'm getting this correctly or so, the new audiences who like it are going to stay longer compared to the OG audiences that made Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter are not going to stay because it doesn't cater to them. People boycott EA too. Look what happened in Battlefield 6. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Battlefield 6 caters to the old fan base while still having the hint of that, of that new. Those people are frauds if they continue to play sports games. That is true. That is true. Sports gamers, we don't count sports gamers. Stop buying Pokemon. They cockblock you for by patenting everything and creating a monopoly. Yeah, that is very true at the end of the day. I'll be honest with you. For Battlefield or so, a lot of old Battlefield fans came in and played Battlefield 6 because, well, Battlefield was catering more to the older audiences than the new audiences, I don't know about this statement. If that's what he's trying to mean or so with this specific statement in general, I'm like, I don't know, personally, because like the reason why is because like if this game, it's a successful game, right? But unfortunately, it is flopping pretty hard with other aspects of the game itself. So the next game, when the next Monster Hunter game is going to come out, they're not going to do that much sales, Battlefield 6 is a return to form. If they are taking real notes, they need notes from real reason why Battlefield 6 is successful. That is probably true. I think Monster Hunter, the Capcom team, at least the Monster Hunter Capcom team, needs to take a look at what made Battlefield 6 so successful, because they did cater to that old audiences. It's back to form, For Monster Hunter Wilds, it's really not back to form. It's going to be its own game because the next Monster Hunter game is probably going to be a new mechanic, new monsters, new region location, a new gimmick way or so for Monster Hunter in general, and it's gonna have its own Monster Hunter Wild is probably gonna have its own fan base, and it's going to be the redheaded stepchild in the whole entire Monster Hunter franchise. And people will come back and will say like, yeah, it's an okay game, but it's not really that great because there were so many issues with this game itself. Is the problem is they try to cater that new broader audiences, but they've left their core audience behind for chasing the new audience. They forgot what made them special. It's just. It is what it is.
The real test for the developers is upcoming, though. If the promised title update 4 doesn't fix things, or if it somehow makes things worse, which is not out of the cards, there's probably not going to be any going back from that point. Like, I am not predicting this game's downfall. I will say
Monster Hunter Wilds has done damage. People might have cautions for the next title. I already said that the next title specifically, I'm not going to because there was only 2 games that I would only pre-order. Monster Hunter and Kingdom Hearts. Those are the only 2 games that I would ever pre-order. After seeing what Monster Hunter just did now, I'm not gonna pre-order anymore for Monster Hunter. Now I only have 1 game that I would pre-order personally. Maybe there's probably like 1 other game that I would probably pre-order, but that's like not even like, I just hated that they like priced it at a AAA pricing or so, even though it doesn't feel like a AAA game personally, so. And this definitely did damage to even the core fan base of Monster Hunter, and they're going to be more wary. They're definitely going to be wary for the next Monster Hunter game when it comes out, because they want to see the optimization. How is this optimization going to do? Is it going to be super easy? Are you going to start catering to the more fan base? Is there going to be more streamlined mechanics that makes things like to the point that nobody wants to play it?
I'm not confident in it. Update 4 has to fix things. The promised expansion pack is not going to be enough to save this game, which, by the way, Capcom is now rushing out to make up for the flagging sales of the main game. People have already accused Capcom of rushing Wilds out before it was done.
Of course, it was.
And increased quarterly earnings.
Yep.
And now they're kind of straight up telling us that's what they're doing with the expansion. If it comes out...
Excuse me? You're saying that they're rushing the expansion for this game? Oof, oh man, I'm definitely not definitely very not hyped for this expansion for this game in general. No siree. I'm a little bit wary on this one. It might probably break the game, I'll be honest with you. Something is going to break. I don't know what it's going to be, but definitely something will break the game. I'm kind of a little bit wary that they're rushing this content and not letting it cook very well in the oven, so it might be a little bit underdeveloped.
And it's good, and Capcom patches the game to drastically improve the performance on PC. It could save Wilds. I mean, everybody likes a good comeback story, but I've mentioned this at least a couple of times at this point, but it's also a controversial game that is somewhat divisive. Cyberpunk 2077 came out in a hell of a state, probably a much worse state, actually, but
Yeah.
everyone kind of wanted what it was. The hole in the dam was the performance. Here, like I said, the main problem is the performance. But there are other little holes in the dam. Some people really just do not like that they streamlined the Monster Hunter formula, and that opinion isn't going to change because that's what the game is. It's not a system that can be reworked, it's the bedrock that's holding up the entire thing. So,
well, the next game, they're gonna have to see what they can do in the next game. You know, pull back some of the streamlined stuff, but keep some of the aspect of the streamline there. You know, they could take away some stuff in the next game. They could probably quote unquote fix it in the expansion. They could, but the odds of that happening is very slim. It's very, very, very slim.
there isn't really a 2.0 version of Monster Hunter Wild. I mean, there could be. I'm not saying it's completely impossible.
Yeah, that's
but
the expansion.
The way the world works, I would suspect it's not going to happen. It doesn't mean the game is bad. In fact, in my opinion, the game is good. But it is divisive. And it's not maybe...
The game's okay. I don't think it's good. I think it's okay. I don't think it's that crazy. There's certain aspects that I like the game itself, but I think it's okay.
Best idea to make your most lucrative franchise into your most controversial. Capcom wanted to make a game that reached a wider audience, and it didn't quite work. There's nuance, but it definitely didn't go how they wanted it to.
See? You hear that? You hear that? Did you hear that, chat? Let me rewind that back a little bit.
Audience, and it didn't quite work. Capcom wanted to make a game that reached a wider audience, and it didn't quite work. There's nuance, but it definitely didn't go how they wanted it to. So to answer the question, what the hell's going on with Monster Hunter Wilds? I don't know, not really that much. The newest title update did bring new voices looking to air old grievances, but the actual situation with Wilds is that it's mostly the same, and that's the problem.
For me specifically, no, for me, these title updates are not going to get me back into the game because the optimization has not been fixed. If the optimization has been fixed, maybe. But the second issue that I have with the game itself is that heavy bowgun is just not fun to play in this game. It really is not. I'd rather go play World instead of Wild for the version of the heavy bowgun. Like, I'll put up with some of the changes in Monster Hunter Rise with the heavy bowgun. Like, I'll put up with it, but they counterbalanced it and made it like certain, like, because they took certain aspects of being the core mechanic of Monster Hunter World's heavy bowgun, and they turned some of the stuff, which is the perks and that you can slot in or so for the weapon or so for faster speed, having a shield, or a long barrel, or whatever other stuff in it, and they turned some of them into decorations in Monster Hunter Rise. That's like basically the caveat. But in Monster Hunter Wilds, there is no caveat, because I thought, okay, maybe they put it in decorations, and then you guys told me, Nyaru, there isn't no decorations for reloading faster or this or that, you know, or reducing the kick or so on the spread ammo. And I'm just kind of like, are you serious? So you're telling me that spread ammo is dead in the fucking water and you can't like slot in a decoration to reduce the recoil or anything? Or is there even a perk or something to reduce it for the heavy bowgun? No, there really is nothing in general. So it's just kind of like, okay, all right, then I just won't use spread ammo. Thanks. And I'm hoping the other guns will have minimal, recoil. And then when I unlock those specific guns later in the game, it was the same thing. All of the guns have the same thing, where spread ammo is just literally just useless in general. So I'm just like, okay, so I'm just not going to use spread ammo in general. So that's a dead bullet in the water. So what's the point of having it infinite ammo if it's just gonna kick like a high horse? Because they gave you infinite ammo for normal, spread, and piercings, level 1. But the caveat is with those is that spread ammo is dead in the water because it kicks like a high horse. Piercing ammo doesn't go through the body anymore and just only goes through like a set number for piercing ammo. And normal is just normal at the end of the day.
Been 8 months and the game still runs poorly on most people's computers. It's a crappy PC port. Doesn't matter how nice it runs for someone out there. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's just got flawless performance and is like, oh, what do these people even mean? They're the exception. They're not the rule.
Yeah, true.
I go back and forth and talk about all the stuff in the game that they could fix, weapon balance, making the end game more satisfying, blah, blah, blah. But the most vocal elements of the fan base want an update on when they're going to finally deal with the dog shit performance of this game. And again, that's apparently coming in December. I am skeptical. Might just be an issue with the engine.
I don't know about this, man. I'm pretty skeptical for it to address the actual issue in if they actually do address the issue, we'll take a look at it. We'll definitely take a look at it if they actually do address the actual issue in winter. But my doubts are pretty low.
Optimized? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you. I'm not a frickin' game developer, much less one that works at Capcom and has an understanding of the inner workings of the RE engine. But with sales dropping like a stone after lunch, you'd think they'd be addressing the most persistent complaint about Wilds as quickly as possible. But it's taken this long, which suggests that whatever they do have to do to fix these problems, it's a lot more work than we would have guessed. But then again, this is Capcom. They just tend to do their own thing. Dragon's Dogma 2 never really got fixed for PC, although I don't know if it's necessarily comparable. There's a certain expectation from Dragon's Dogma regarding performance and quirk that Monster Hunter Wilds is much too straightforward of a game to have. Street Fighter 6 players are constantly complaining about the lack of cosmetics, which, yes, the problem is they want more DLC, and Capcom has been too slow with that. Usually
they want more cosmetics. They want more DLC in Street Fighter 6. Man, that's a thing I've never heard of in my entire life, man. That's crazy.
Games have the opposite problem. Wild certainly isn't short on DLC, but with Street Fighter 6, the lack of new costumes is telling. Seems like Capcom was not prepared for how big and voracious the fan base was going to be for that game. Kind of a quaint problem to have with Street Fighter, but it goes to show you just how unprepared Capcom really is for the modern realities of the live service elements of their games. I mean, I'm not going to say that Street Fighter or Monster Hunter are live service games. They can be played offline, and that's good. They should be like that. But these are also games that you would expect support and updates for. That definitely does cross over into the service area. And when you have that, these games require constant player investment, and like the Monster Hunter games traditionally have a pretty big PC player base. A big reason Monster Hunter World was such a big success was because Capcom launched it on PC, and people were willing to forgive that game's issues.
Yeah, but not just that or so. Remember, it had a popularity because of, a famous streamer. Of course, we, made it boom. Let's not forget about that.
Back then, because really, let's talk about how much smaller the PC gaming market was at that time and how much less experience Capcom really had in that arena. But expectations are just higher now in 2020.
That Street Fighter 6 take is weird. That is not a problem to have. That's not a bad problem to have. If people want more DLC, it shows you're doing something right. That is very true, though. But I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of a game or a game community or so wanting more DLC though. I personally never heard of anything like that personally, because that feels a little bit jarring to me.
First off, Capcom has given us great PC ports. Second off, a lot of other developers have not. And PC gamers are very accustomed to getting poorly performing games, and they're fed up. Monster Hunter Wilds is just the latest and greatest target of their ire, which is well deserved. In terms of graphics issues, and there are aplenty, the game just hasn't improved enough since launch. The latest title update, being something that doesn't really genuinely address the problem, is just the latest lightning rod for all that built up resentment. So the big takeaway I'm gonna say is if you're holding off on playing Wilds because of performance issues, keep waiting. Title Update 3 has not addressed those things. Nothing crazy has happened as far as I can see that has made the game worse, but there's also a reason that this festering resentment isn't going anywhere. It's because the issues that are causing it haven't gone anywhere. But that's my opinion. What do you think? Leave us a comment, let us know. If you like this video,
it was a good video, to be honest. I disagree with certain points in the video, of course.
We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first.
Not a bad video, to be honest. Like I said, there were certain things that I disagree personally about the video, but it is what it is, right? Everyone has their own opinion about the game itself, But personally, we'll see what happens in Title Update 4 that's coming out in winter time. I assume probably in December, probably in the if they are rushing the expansion, I would be pretty shocked if they announce it at the Game Awards, the expansion. I'd be shocked if they do. I don't think they will, but if they do or so, Jesus Christ, I'm more worried about Monster Hunter Wilds than ever, personally. But hopefully they do address it. They hopefully do address some of the issues or so. I don't think it'll be at the Game Awards for the actual optimization issues, but it'll definitely be like something, probably like a new monster or new seasonal update and everything like that. Everything about Monster Hunter Wilds just seems to be case of rushing everything. It is, they definitely did rush everything to get the PC port for Monster Hunter Wilds to come out, or just the game itself in general. It just felt like it was rushed, because a lot of the DLC, like the title update monsters, were technically, I think, like the first 3, it could be the first 3 or the first 4 title update monsters were technically supposed to be in the actual base game itself, but I assume they didn't have enough time to to fit them in there and optimize and all this other stuff. Then they decided to release them later as title updates. So which it was already proven that some of these monsters were supposed to be originally in the game itself. So like, it has all the foundations, but they just can't hold off and wait. No, unfortunately, they can't because of the quarter financials. They have to, unfortunately, it's all business. It's all the business of where they have to meet a quota or so before a certain financial status. Monster Hunter Wilds is one of the best community, best port, best action game and game of the year. It's not winning game of the year. It's definitely, I don't think it's gonna get even nominated for game of the year. I would have loved it if it came out really good and everything and it was fantastic and it did get nominated, but it definitely is not. There are other games that clearly outsmoke this game by miles or so, because this game definitely fell hard on its face. But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. Yeah, to be honest, I have no idea what's going on at the Capcom headquarters. I'm surprised, I thought, because I know that they announced that they were going to make a live stream or something to address the actual optimization of the game itself, but they never did during the time they announced it. So I'm hoping that they do it in December, maybe in November, maybe. But I think it's probably going to be in December personally, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, anyways, we will see. Anyways, that's the end of the video, and